Hey, YouTube, what's going on? It's me, Crazy Kimbe. What's going on? It's been a while, right? Yeah. But anyway, I want to make this video to a video response to Bob Saran because I saw his video why anime is not popular in the USA, and I just had this I just have this idea in my I just had this thing in my head, and I wanted to make the video before I forget it because there were a few things Bob kind of touched on, but he didn't really explore. I was hoping he was kind of going to explore it because basically, Bob, you had your hand in the door and you opened the door, but you didn't really, you peeked in and you closed the door, but there was a major point I was hoping you would really explore because this is something I've been wondering about for quite a long time. So, quite a long time. So before let me just tell you about Hanna-Barbera. Hanna-Barbera, I don't know if you guys know what Hanna-Barbera is. They're like two animators and they were responsible for a lot of big cartoons for from the 50s, 30s, 40s, 50s, 60s, 70s, 80s, and even today in the 2000s. They were responsible for some things like Flintstones, Jetsons, Tom and Jerry, Scooby Doo, Huckleberry, things like and I forget, Snagglepuss. There's so many cartoons to list, but basically, so they had this studio they had, and they'll make all the cartoons. And what they would do, they would make the cartoons and they would pitch it to big networks, just like a regular show, like a regular sitcom or comedy. And these shows would appear on mainstream channels such as NBC, CBS, and ABC, channels mainstream channels that you don't really see cartoons appear on anymore. And then you see maybe a variety show will come on, like a show that's not a cartoon. Then the Flintstones will come on, and then those shows, the cartoons were being shown on prime time. And then then let's fast forward to the 90s. I'm not sure if people remember it, but around maybe 91, 92, this was a worldwide thing. Cartoon Network came into, what's the word I'm trying to use, publication. And Cartoon Network was basically a channel where they showed cartoons. But for the most part, Cartoon Network was an upstart. They didn't really have any cartoons. And where Hanna-Barbera comes into play is that I think they got the license to all the Hanna-Barbera stuff, so you were able to see stuff and Hanna-Barbera, they made a lot of cartoons, responsible for a lot of cartoons. You can go and look it up there. You could see the Flintstones, Jetsons, Dexter's Lab. I don't think Dexter's Lab really came into publication until later in the 90s, but beginning you had all these things. Oh yeah, cartoons. Birdman, Space Ghost, so many shows. They even had the Looney Tunes too. They also had that because I think at the time they didn't really have any shows of their own, but they were basically using this as a platform to develop their shows. So anyway, let's fast forward to the mid 90s. Toonami, it basically was an experimenter. They were doing they were putting shows on there. They were like cartoons, American cartoons, but they also put stuff on Japanese shows such as Sailor Moon and stuff like that. But I think it really began to really take off when they put on Dragon Ball Z. Now you see Dragon Ball Z, but you see, like I was saying before, prior to Cartoon Network, it's very important to keep track of what I just said. Prior to Cartoon Network, all these shows, cartoons were being, you know, given to, not given, pitched to mainstream networks like NBC and CBS, ABC. Now, Dragon Ball Z. Now everybody that's a cartoon or anime is coming to Cartoon Network, because we all know Dragon Ball Z ended up being popular, and all the anime companies were coming to Cartoon Network because that is the guy to go to. But it's very important to keep track of what I said, because in Japan they do with anime what they used to do with cartoons here, and that they put them on mainstream television. They don't have to. Over here, if you think of a cartoon, if someone tells me like an anime is coming to TV, what's the first network you think of? Cartoon Network. You see, over time they've hardwired it into your brain that cartoons and anime must exist on a Cartoon Network, no pun intended. But why can't it be on, no one ever thinks, why can't it just be on NBC, Spike TV, HBO, Showtime? You see, that's that mentality. And Cartoon Network is a kids channel for all intents and purposes. It's a demographic of maybe, I would say, six plus and above. No, okay, not 6 plus, maybe I would say 8 and above, 8, 7 and above. And Nickelodeon is probably lower because they do like Nick Jr. and then Disney is, for everybody, so they say. But you see, in reality, Cartoon Network was a kids network, and the shows they showed there were for kids. And in reality, Dragon Ball Z, they really shouldn't have had no business being on Cartoon Network, because everybody was going to Cartoon Network at the time. Because that was like because in reality, it should have gone to like a channel like, say, MTV. Because, MTV has the demographic, that teenage demographic. And Dragon Ball Z is not a kid's show. But, it was like, I don't know, at the time, that was like the only platform on Cartoon Network. They were like, listen, you do things our way, or you're not going to get on the air. And, they were like, okay, you can't do this, there's no swearing, you got to do this, do that. Not only did they change the show from what it originally is, it made it into something that's completely different. If you watch, like, the censored version versus censored Dragon Ball Z, it's completely different, And, but it ended up being very popular, and everybody started, all the anime guys started going to Cartoon Network, and after a while, Cartoon Network was nice about it, but after a while they began to realize, these guys need us. They need us and everything. And so they started being like stingy about it. You gotta pay us this much, you gotta do this, you gotta do that, Like I said, shows like Dragon Ball Z, Gundam, Rurouni Kenshin, those had no business being on Cartoon Network, because like I said, Cartoon Network is a channel for kids. And eventually what happened is that Cartoon Network became, and to this day, it's still a monopoly. A monopoly in the same way that, AT&T used to be the only phone company, and it was like, if you didn't like them, you couldn't use phones, because either you do it our way or no way. And what happened was the government stepped in and was like, okay, look, we're going to split you into many companies. So they split them into, Singular, T-Mobile, Sprint. All those used to be part of AT&T. But it was getting out of control. And essentially, let's fast forward to like the 2000s, mid 2000s. Cartoon Network has a stronghold grip on cartoons and anime. And if you're a cartoon anime, you want to come on TV, you have to go through Cartoon Network. And like I said, like in Japan, it's not that way. It's like how it used to be back in the day when you know how the Flintstones could appear on NBC or ABC, you know, they made that mindset in people's head that, you know, a cartoon have to be on the Cartoon Network, when in reality, you should just try and get the show on TV, really get it on mainstream TV. You know, honestly, if you ask me, now I think back up on it, shows like Dragon Ball Z, Gundam should have been on MTV, because they wouldn't have forced them to, you know, censor, alter the dialect. You be able to curse and everything, and you know, it would have probably been better, because, you know, in my opinion, there are some shows that are meant to, you know, blow up, you know, that go beyond cultural boundaries. And, you know, there's some shows that, you know, I think, you know, Dragon Ball Z, Naruto, and what's a new one, Attack on Titan, those are, there's shows like that, you know. And, you know, as a result, you know, a few years ago, Cartoon Network was like, we're no longer doing anime. We don't do anime anymore. We want to do, you know, we have enough resources. We want to make cartoons from our own, you know, studio. We don't want to get people from outside studios anymore. We don't want to spend the money. If you want to make a cartoon for us, you have to come and do it in our studio. So we're like, you know, we don't want anything to do with anime anymore. And, you know, at this point, and even still today, Cartoon Network has a monopoly on the thing, because they are still the biggest, you know, network of cartoons. But, you know, they kind of hardwired into people's brains that cartoons have to be on a network that shows cartoons and animes. And, you know, anime is not just for children, and Cartoon Network is a children's network, so they have to dumb this thing down to make it look like a children's cartoon. Like Dragon Ball Z, like I said, is a violent show. You know, shows like that, like Rurouni Kenshin, those are like deep shows, but they have to like tone it down. The characters don't bleed, they don't die, they just bruise. They didn't go to hell. They went to some place for losers. It's some, you know, some bullshit stuff like that. You know, like G Gundam. You know, God Gundam is not God Gundam. It's Burning Gundam. Dark Gundam is not Devil Gundam. It's Dark Gundam. Yeah, you know, many things. And you know, you can look up all these like stuff on the internet, because there's a lot of like cartoon studios and, you know, anime companies that are coming out and telling behind the scenes of what they had to deal with Cartoon Network. And, you know, and now, you know, we have you know, they show it on, I guess, on Adult Swim on Saturdays, but people are saying the reason why it's not successful is because the time and, you know, the time they gave them is why it's not successful. Yes and no, but the problem is, many of these companies put themselves in a hole where they have to rely on Cartoon Network to get access, because in reality, it's not just Cartoon Network they should be going for. They should have been going for all the other networks, like, you know, all those shows could be on like HBO, Spike TV, but, you know, they kind of hardwired into our brains that, you know, cartoons have to be on a network that only shows cartoons. They can coexist. And like in Japan, you can watch like a drama, variety show, and the anime will come on and things like that. They're like some shows that, you know, they feel they're going to be mainstream success. They're going to put on the mainstream channel on the mainstream time at like say 8 o'clock. And then maybe you see that, and then maybe another anime will come on and they'll show the news, you know, things like that. But over here in the West, it's not that way. Cartoons have to be on a Cartoon Network that only shows cartoons. And, you know, the only deal in town, really, when you think of cartoons, is Cartoon Network, which has like strict guidelines, and they know they are the shit, and that everybody has to go through them. And so what happened, you know, the internet blew up, and, you know, many anime companies don't want to do TV, because if you're going to do TV and you're a cartoon or animation, you have to go through Cartoon Network, and they don't want to go through the bullshit Cartoon Network goes through. And, you know, it's Nickelodeon, which is Nickelodeon is even stricter than Cartoon Network, and Disney, so that everything has to be clean and kidified and things like that. But in reality, what I'm trying to say is, I don't think Bob really understood this. Well, maybe Bob really didn't realize what he was, you know, touching upon. But in reality, a huge part of why anime is not popular in the West and the US is because of Cartoon Network. Because Cartoon Network is a monopoly, and it's really, you know, it's holding back all these like companies, and that's why many of these guys don't really want to mess with like TV anymore. But you know, the internet kind of blew up. But internet being popular on the internet, you could be like very popular on the internet, and you could step out, and no one will know who you are. But you know, you could be popular on the internet, and once you make that cross over to TV, you on mainstream TV. I mean, you step out, and everyone's gonna know who you are. And that's that boundary that has not been made yet, because you know they kind of shoehorned, Cartoon Network kind of shoehorned everybody into, and how white people into thinking, you know, like the only way cartoons can come on, or anime, is either they go on Cartoon Network or Adult Swim. It has to be all cartoon, all anime channel, which in reality it doesn't have to be. You know, that's the mentality that they used to have back in the 60s, 70s, 80s, 50s. You know, you put on channels that are mainstream channels. You know, why can't it be like after like watching like 24, which doesn't even come on anymore, I can watch some like anime or something like that? Or that's the mentality they don't have in the West, and that's what's keeping it from, you know, succeeding. It's not about whether the dub is good or bad. It's more that the dub is in line with the original language, and you know, you get it out there. You know, and you can be like, you know, market the DVDs like, hey, we have the Japanese audio. You know, we're not gonna censor. You know, they don't even censor the curse. So just bleep them out. You know, that's basically what it is. You know, but anyway, that's what I wanted to say. Essentially, Cartoon Network is a huge part responsible for the lack of popularity of anime, because anime is more popular now thanks to the internet, but you know, it could have been way more than it is. And, you know, I think more people know what anime is than they used to, say, 10 years ago. But that's what I wanted to say. Anyway, I'm out of here. Peace.